Hi, I'm Joe at ZPacks, and this is our 2015 Hexamid Solo Plus tent setup. The first thing you're going to want to do is identify one of the front corners of the tent. The tent has a label on one of the front corners to make it easy to find. Come across to the opposite front corner. What you're going to want to do is pull that guy line tight and then come back about a foot, give or take. The distance that you come back determines how high the top of the peak of the tent is going to be. Adjust your trekking pole to about 52 inches, just get an idea of how high it comes up on your body. The trekking pole is inserted with a handle at the top, at the peak of the tent. There's a reinforcement patch on the screen floor of the tent with a little hole in it. The tip of the trekking pole goes through that hole to the ground so that it doesn't puncture the floor. You want the trekking pole at just a little bit of an angle to help the tent stand up easier. You want the front corners of the tent to be maybe 6 to 8 inches off the ground. A little more, what doesn't hurt. So I'm going to go around to the back and stake out the back center of the tent. I'm going to stake out the corner. And then there's a guy line on the back wall and the side wall. Both of those will get staked out. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite back corner and back walls. It's a pretty straightforward tent to set up. Once you get the hang of it, you probably won't have to do any adjusting or moving the stakes or anything like that. The main change that we made this year is we added storm doors, overlapping storm doors instead of the beak like we had before. The way that works, the beak has two halves, they overlap in front. There's a clip on the front guy line. Just clip that to the doors and cinch it tight. Just like that. One door overlaps the other. Ideally you'd want the wind coming from the upwind side, from the overlapping door side of the tent or from the back. If you did get a head-on wind or a wind coming this way, maybe a little bit of water would sneak through, but it's just going to fall into your vestibule area where it doesn't really matter. The unique thing about the Hexamid tents is the bathtub floor is separate and detachable from the tent. It's clipped in place at all the corners, and you can also attach a little elastic with a hook to the front center to clip around your trekking pole. The good thing about having the floor separate is you can take it out of the tent and sleep under the stars if you want a cowboy camp. Let's say the inside of your tent gets a little bit of condensation or the outside's wet, whatever. If your ground sheet is still dry, you can take that out and pack it separate, and then pack your wet tent away, and your ground sheet stays dry for the next night. You can also lay out the ground sheet and lay out the tent separately, and they'll both dry at the same time, so it cuts your drying time in half if you're trying to dry out a wet tent. Right now I've got the twin size ground sheet in this tent. The twin size ground sheet is a perfect fit for our Solo Plus tent. It also fits the twin tent, obviously. This ground sheet size will fit 2 people in a squeeze. But if you don't plan to use this tent with a partner, you can use our Solo Plus size ground sheet, which has a good amount of space for just one person. So I don't know how well you can see from that distance, but there's a good amount of space for 2 people side by side. The person in the back of the Solo Plus does have, the ceiling is pretty low. If you really want a tent for 2 people, you probably should look at the twin tent or a duplex tent instead. Those have more space in the back for a second person. But this is a good tent if maybe you only bring along a significant other, like once in a while. You've got that option of squeezing them in for maybe a weekend trip or whatever. Or if you're a smaller couple, you might fit. I'm 5'9" tall. There's a ton of space in here. I could fit all my gear in here, no problem. It's more space than a person my size really needs. I can fit in the Solo tent just fine. If you're maybe 6 foot tall or you just want more space, this would be the right tent for you. If you're above maybe 6'2", you might want to look at the Altaplex or the duplex tents. So the storm doors, if you wanted to deploy the doors while you're in the tent, just grab your clip. So easy as that. So now I'll just take it down and show you how quick it goes down. So I normally just fold the tent until it's small enough to roll up. This tent ships in a medium size stuff sack. As long as you have it rolled up tight, it's a nice easy fit in the stuff sack. And that's it. That's our Hexamid Solo Plus tent setup. Thank you.